Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So excited to have you here, and today I've got a process video for you of how I made this fun wintry mini album for the Simple Stories design team using the Winter Wonder collection. So to get started, pull out any mousse, foams, glaze effects that you have in your stash, and if not, something you can check out. But I wanted to do an ombre effect with the three colors. I just used what I had that matched the papers in the collection. So I'm doing that shimmery pink, a blue, teal, all are shimmery, and the silver. And I just kind of spread it around on my stencil. And the purpose of that is I used a wet wipe and just kind of dragged it down across to mix up the colors together. So this gives a nice blend. You don't need to have a lot of tools to do this, and I loved how it turned out. I actually discovered this when I was just trying out using the paste and figuring out what I wanted to do with the stencil. I went to wipe off all of the extra paste that was left on the stencil on a just like a paper towel, and I loved how it looked once I lifted the stencil. So I'm like, okay, I have to recreate this. So that's how I ended up here. And then, you can use the palette knife to fill in any gaps. I kind of went in and started playing around of where I wanted more pink, where I wanted more silver or blue. Really casually. There's not a whole lot of like planning here. For me, it's fun playing around with the different colors and mixed media. So, and you can always start over, right? If something doesn't work, you can go ahead and start over. A little bit of a note on this paper in particular, for the most part, and I believe all of the pages in the mini album, wherever I'm using the pattern paper, was actually the 6x8 paper pad. So I love the paper pads. You can use them for a lot of things, but definitely mini albums. It's a great way to just grab what you need, and you don't have to cut into an entire sheet of 12x12. So once you've got the mixed media applied, just let it dry. The particular mousse that I was using here was probably dry within a couple hours. So you can just put that to the side and let it do its thing, and then get back to the rest of it. So with that said, I'm just showing here the collection and some of the pieces that I was using. I also added in the sticker sheet and a couple other things from the collection that I'll highlight or link in the description so that you can see exactly what supplies are that you need. And the idea for this one was to create a bound album using the cinch wire, and then I wanted to also utilize some of the chipboard frames that come in the collection as standalone pages. The chipboard that I'm using for my front and back cover are actually binder separators from the 6x8 snap albums. You can use any chipboard that you have available, but I like them because they're nice and sturdy and make perfect covers for mini albums. And then for the papers, I wanted to use the polka dot, and then also another sheet on the back. Before you adhere both front and back covers, I like to add stitching to my albums. So I added stitching on the front cover. I just stitched it together. You can also just stitch the paper and adhere it to the chipboard. I stitched them together. And then I added the back cover as well, which I ended up stitching on my machine. I just like the texture and the finishing look it gives. So yeah, be sure to give that a try if you have a machine. Now the album is sized 6x7 1/4 inches. So all of the papers are cut down to that size, in case you're wondering. And in terms of the inner pages, I used 5 sheets of pattern paper in different patterns to create the inner pages. If you have a cinch machine, you can grab that and create the binding holes for your inner pages. I'm not going into the tutorial on how to do that here. I do have another one on my channel if you're interested. But once you've got the hole sponged, next step is finishing the front cover. For the front cover, I wanted to create a large shaker element using this adorable polar bear chipboard frame. So you can add your red tape to the back of that. And then once you've got that placed down, adhere your acetate sheet. Once that's placed down, that's the next step to add your strips of foam to make sure you create a fence or a border around that so that your sequins don't fall out. Remember, this has to hold the test of time, so do make sure you're using very strong adhesive and that you're very careful about how you're applying everything. For the foam strips, I just get these on Amazon. You can grab them on scrapbook.com. Lots of different websites carry them. They are perfect for creating shaker pockets like this because they're nice and thin and can get into fairly small spaces if you're working with like cut file or smaller elements. For something like this frame, not as important, but certainly when you're working with cut files, you want to have the thinner foam. And then once that's set, you can add your sequin. In terms of order, I peel off the backing from the foam strips first before I add my sequins. Some people do it the other way. For me, it's easier because then you're not, when it's time to peel up the backing, the sequin is kind of, you know, I've tried it that way and it tends to fall out and get all over the place. So just a word of advice to take that off first before you add the mix in. And here you can see I'm using the Snow Vibes mix from SpiegelMom Scraps, if that's something you're interested in. Once you've got your mix in, then you can cover it up with another sheet of acetate or vellum or a pattern paper if you're interested. I decided to do an acetate sheet so I can see the pattern paper through it. And then I've added more foam tape here so that I can adhere it down to my front cover. I also did another layer of the foam strips all around the border of the acetate so that I've got space here that's actually going to be able to adhere to my pattern paper and making it secure. Make sure it's centered, so when you apply the chipboard shaker to the front, just center it so that it looks nice and even on the cover, and then you are pretty much all set with the base of it. Next step will be to decorate it with some ephemera and some stickers for the title. So because I'm documenting pictures of my kids sledding, I thought it was very appropriate to use the title, Let's Go Sledding. So I used that from the sticker sheet and I just cut apart Let's Go and Sledding so that I can put it right next to the polar bear. Finish off this page with a banner from the ephemera pack and a little snowflake ephemera as well. Moving to the back cover, I took the mixed media paper that we created, added some stitching and adhered that to my chipboard, and then added the blue snowflake paper to the back cover. So now we're ready to work on the inside pages. This first page is one of the chipboard frames that also comes in the pack, and I wanted to create a standalone page with it. For the photo, I printed a 4x4, which made it easier to adhere it to the back of the frame, but the frame size is about a 3x4, if you're wondering. And then for the back of it, I will use one of the pattern papers as the back cover, and then you just use your X-Acto knife to cut around it. Because there's rounded corners, just be patient with it. I nicked a couple spots here and there when I was cutting with the X-Acto knife, but can't really tell. So just take your time and be careful. And really this step is just to make the back look pretty, because when you flip it over, I don't want to see all this stuff on the back, right? I just want to see a pretty pattern. This step just took a few minutes to complete, and now it is ready for my next page. So the next frame here is the Wonder frame, and again, I used a 3x4 photo for it. This time I didn't print it larger than the 3x4, so it's a little bit harder to get it in the frame and stay. Because we're using the patterned paper, I just ended up adhering the photo right on the paper and then adhering the frame. This paper will serve as the background for the frame, just like the prior one we made, so it was an easy fix instead of having to go and reprint. So I will note here that before you adhere down your frame, one step that I kind of did a little bit backwards and just a lesson learned for my next one is I wanted to use a little trimmed piece of acetate to adhere to the back of the photo so that I can bind it within the album that way. So that's the step that I would do before you add the background paper or the backing for the frame, so that you don't see the acetate on the other side. If you do it the way I'm doing it, that's fine too. But just a note, if you're going to be building an album like this, you want to think about how you're going to bind it. And in this case, it would have been just a cleaner look to have the acetate hidden between the chipboard and the pattern paper. My other piece of advice, because we're working with acetate, which is practically, I mean, it's plastic, I would recommend using red tape. It's really strong and will adhere really well, so that you have longevity with the album. So with that all done, we are ready to move on to the rest of the pages. So you can go ahead and use the cinch or whatever binding tool you're using to cut the holes and get ready for creating the rest of them. So for this next page I'm working on, I'm actually creating a little pocket. So I trimmed a piece of pattern paper that's 2 3/4 by 7 1/4, and then I stitched on the top, bottom, and the right hand side to create my pocket. And we'll go back and decorate it, but I just want to, right now I'm really just building all the foundation pages, and then we'll go back in and add all the fun stuff. With that page ready, I'm kind of going through and just putting the pages in order and how I want to see them in the album, because we're going to start binding it. Now for the binding wire, I'm using a 1-inch black cinch wire, and you need enough to go through each of the holes. I think I have 12 holes in my album, so I counted out 12 of the ends and just snipped off the rest of the excess. And you can save that for another album. In terms of the order for the pages, this is important. You want to start with your back cover, so the actual back is facing up, and then you have your front cover with the back of that front cover facing, and then you can start putting in the rest of your pages. The order for your pages is front to back, and then once you've got all of them added, you want to make sure that the second step in your cinch machine that you're set on the right number, because we're using the 1-inch binding ring. I set it to 1. And then you want to make sure you have even pressure and you're pushing the ring towards the machine so that it's got the right placement to close the wire. Sometimes, like in here, the wire kind of gets a little bit wacky, doesn't close all the way, or one piece gets stuck and sticks out. So I just use my little tool to bend the wire just to make sure that it's exactly how I want it to look. And then once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and flip your back page over. And now you've got your album all ready to go. And this next set of the video is going to be around decorating it. Alrighty then, so let's get to the fun part. So I wanted to create another pocket on the front inside cover. And with that, I just took another sheet of the 6x8 paper from the paper pad and used my X-Acto knife and metal ruler to trim a diagonal. And then I took that triangle and stitched with white thread using my machine. If I was going to do this over, I probably would have just done this at the same time as I created the back cover, but this was more of an afterthought, so I decided to just go ahead and do that. And then when you're adhering it to the inside of the cover, I used the red tape just to make sure that it was really secure and would not fall away over time. You only need adhesive on the left and bottom because you want to make sure that the pocket opens. And then I tucked in a few of the tags from the journaling bits and pieces that I'll go back in and add my writing in. And then you can also tuck some photos in there or memorabilia to preserve any special items that you have saved. For the next page, which is that wonder frame, I added a little ephemera saying, "Oh, let it snow," and then a couple snowflakes. The snowflakes are just glued down with liquid adhesive, and then I added a couple of little enamel dots in the centers just for a little extra shine. I also added a little dot on the hat from the prior page, and then with that, it's all done and ready to move on to the pocket page. So for the pocket page, I wanted to add this snowman from the journaling bits and pieces. So I used my foam tape to adhere it. And I just it looked cleaner because when the frame is flipped over, you just see that bottom portion, which I think just gives it a clean look. For my photo, I printed a 4x6 of my youngest kiddo. I just love seeing his happy little face. So that photo, I just backed on the dark snowflake paper, and it'll get tucked into the pocket. And then you can go ahead and finish decorating the rest of this. I added a little paper banner from the ephemera pack right at the top and just used the liquid adhesive to adhere it. And then I added a foam sticker that says "So cold" from the foam sticker sheet. And then for the snowman, I added a bunch of little enamel dots on his scarf where the white circles are. Now for the back of the frame page, going a little bit backwards, I added a banner from the ephemera pack and then also the Let It Snow layered chipboard sticker sheet just to give it a finishing look. For this next page, I'm working with a 3x4 photo of my 3 kiddos on their sled and then backing that on the coral paper we had used to create the pocket on the inside front cover. And I will place that on a piece of plaid paper from the 6x8 paper pad. The plaid paper measures about 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. Alrighty, so for the photo itself, I'm going to use my foam tape to adhere it down to the plaid paper. I want to have some extra dimension there, and this thin one is perfect for that. You can either adhere it directly to the paper and then put the entire piece down, or you can adhere the plaid paper first and then add your photo. So either way there. And then the next step is adding on the embellishments. So I started picking out the Let It Snow chipboard title, and then I also used the green chipboard tree as well as the dark blue foam tree. And then to add some additional kind of part of the title, I added the Slay All Day sticker from the sticker sheet. I've also added some of the foam stars. I added some foam snowflakes. And then I added the sticker word that says "Burr," but I cut off a piece of it because I wanted to have a shorter saying there. For the Let Us Know title, I actually did use some dimensional foam tape there as well, just because the foam trees are pretty thick, and I don't wanted that to pop off from them as well. So just use a thicker foam tape or double layer it, so that you have a nice raised look there. For the opposite side of the page, I did use a layered flower chipboard sticker, and then I added a blue You Melt My Heart sticker from the sticker sheet, and I popped it up with some foam tape as well. Once you've got that added, go ahead and flip the page, and we're ready to move on to the next set of layouts. So the next one, I'm working on the Snow Much Fun page. I just wanted kind of like a divider or a break page, just to have something easy and fun here. So I cut this down to size, and then I'm just adding some enamel dots into the centers of the snowflakes. On the opposite side of the page where you see the picture just hanging around there, we're gonna build our next layout. So starting with my photo of my middle kiddo, I backed it with some of this pretty pattern paper here. Just cut a nice, maybe like 1/8 inch of a border around your photo. And then I am adhering it down on the page off-centered, so more towards the right side of the paper, because I want to add an element to the left corner. There I wanted to add a snowman that's sledding, so I think, you know, having enough space to add those pieces on. Just make sure you kind of eyeballing it before you put your photo down. But once you've got that in place, I use the ephemera sled, and then also the ephemera snowman. The snowman is popped up with the foam tape. I added the foam chillin' title at the top. And then I've also sprinkled 3 snowflakes around the page in various sizes. With the snowflakes, just adhered them with my liquid adhesive. And then for the centers, I used the small decorative brads that are part of the collection pack as well. If you haven't yet tried using the brads, definitely recommend it. They're so fun, and I love that they're sturdy and they give that extra dimension to the page. Go ahead and flip the page, and we're ready to work on the next set. So this cute It's Freezing Season page is cut from the 6x8 paper pad as well. And I just wanted to leave it as is. The only thing I added here was the enamel dots. So on the sprigs that show the pink dots as well as their cheeks, I added the enamel stickers there, and I like how it looks. It's really cute and dimensional. On the flip side, we're gonna build our actual layout. So I used the same pattern paper as I did for the other photo to back it. Again, it's 3x4, same 1/8 quarter or 1/8 border, and then I just adhered it with my tape. Again, slightly off center here as well, because I wanted to add some elements on the left corner. So you'll see me do this a lot. I don't know why I gravitate in that direction, but I always like off center it, but it's always to the right. So in any case, I wanted to use this pink coat, and then wanted to use the scarf and the snowboarding glasses. So I built kind of layers starting with the scarf, and then I added that pink coat, no foam on that one. However, I did use foam tape for the snowboarding goggles because I wanted that to pop off the page a little bit. And then I also added that Wander banner in the top corner there, again with foam tape. And then I added a Slay All Day sticker from the 12x12 sticker sheet. So while I'm wrapping this up here, I did want to say, if you don't already subscribe to the channel, I would love to have you join the community. I also have a Facebook group where we share our work, and I share about upcoming classes and kits. So I would love to have you there. So flipping the page, we're going to work on this polka dot layout, and I will say this turned out to be my favorite. So I've got a 4x4 picture of my youngest here, and he's covered in snow. That was definitely the day that I took these pictures on. Was a lot of fun, but it was some heavy snow, so it's cute. I love how it turned out. For decorating the layout, I decided to use these 3 banners from that ephemera pack. So I added those. That middle one is popped up on 3D foam tape. Again, you guessed it, for more dimension. And then we'll go back to that and add some more elements. In the bottom left corner, I decided I wanted to use the Winter Wishes as the main title. So I used that from the foam sticker sheet, and I layered it with the blue flower. And then I also added the snowman brad, the larger brads from that sheet, as well as kind of fluffing the flowers. I added a pink polka dot brad right at the top by the banners as well. And then I started building a little bit of like a floral cluster around it. So I added this sprig here that's blue, and then I also added a light blue flower with the little sprig that sticks out. So it kind of like curves around that. And then I added the Oh So Cold sticker. On the right side, underneath that sticker, I used foam tape so that it was nice and flat against the banner. By the blue flower, I went back and added a pink snowflake and also a dark blue snowflake. And then for the pink snowflake, I added a pink brad. So let's flip the page and work on our last main one. So I'm using the chipboard frame here, and I wanted to cover up what's on the front of that card. So I decided on the Let It Snow, but I didn't want the snowflakes to stick out at the top and the bottom. So I just trimmed that off and then layered it on the chipboard frame with the foam tape. And then because the picture is of the kids eating snow, I did add in some snowflakes that are popped up on foam dots. And then I added the Winter Wonder chipboard sticker at the top. Moving to the inside back cover that has our mixed media snowflakes, I wanted to finish that off with some of the trees. So I used the blue sticker tree from the 12x12 sticker sheet. I also added that green foam tree. And then I decided to add in a sticker, that orange coral tree as well. So I like to do these in threes, so you'll see me repeat that quite often. And then I added some stars, so I alternated between foam as well as sticker stars. And then for the last piece here, I'm adding the Snowy Life sticker that I just slightly trimmed and then added to the left hand side of the green tree. So flipping back a page, I wanted to finish off that checker green page. So I added the Oh So Cold sticker, and then I also added the blue striped border sticker to the left. So it kind of just finishes off the look, and it doesn't look plain and empty when you've got the album open. So with that, we are all finished, and here just doing a quick flip through so you can see the album from front to back. And then I added a little dingle charm and a ribbon to finish it off. So I think the album turned out so fun, and I hope you give it a try. And I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions, just put it in the comments, and I'll be sure to check back and answer any questions that you may have. Have a fabulous day.